On a clear afternoon over the Persian Gulf, a tiny bright shape raced across a targeting screen and into the long argument over what the military really saw. For a few seconds, it looked impossible. So what was moving so fast? The clip would later become known as the GoFast video, one of the most discussed military UAP recordings of the modern era. It emerged from routine operations, not a midnight rumor, which is part of why it still matters. The setting was the Atlantic training and deployment world of US Navy aviation, where fast jets, sensor pods, and split-second judgments are everyday tools. In that environment, even a small anomaly can feel like a breach in the rules of the sky. What makes the case linger is not just the object itself, but the chain of observation around it. A sensor track, a pilot's glance, and a short burst of video all point towards something that seemed to outrun easy explanation. The footage shows a pale speck sliding across the frame above a textured cloud deck, while the camera and aircraft motion make the geometry hard to judge. That uncertainty is where the mystery begins, because speed in the sky can lie to the eye. Supporters of the extraordinary reading point to the object's apparent pace and the way it seems to hold a steady course without obvious wings or exhaust. To them, it feels less like a bird or balloon and more like a craft that does not belong there. The video was only one piece of a larger encounter report that included trained observers and sensor data gathered during a military mission. That combination gives the case weight because it is not built on a single eyewitness memory alone. Still, the famous image is deceptive. The camera angle, the aircraft's own motion, and the distance to the target all affect how fast the object appears to move across the frame. That is why the most compelling details are technical rather than dramatic. Small changes in angle can make a distant object seem to streak, even when its true speed is far more modest than it first appears. Yet the case does not vanish when the math gets harder. The object remained visible long enough to draw attention, and the crew treated it as something worth tracking, which keeps the question alive. That tension between a strange visual impression and a potentially ordinary flight path effect is what makes GoFast so enduring. It sits at the edge where perception, instrumentation, and interpretation all meet. Investigators and commentators later examined whether the object might have been a balloon, a bird, or another small airborne target at a difficult angle. Each possibility explains part of the picture, but none feels completely satisfying to everyone. The balloon idea remains popular because a lightweight object can drift with the wind and look faster than it is. But the case's supporters note that the visual behavior and the military context still leave room for doubt. A bird can also fool a sensor or camera, especially when the background is bright and the target is far away. Even so, the object in GoFast does not sit comfortably in the mind as an easy identification. What keeps people returning to the clip is the feeling that the military was not looking for a mystery at all. This was ordinary work, and the object simply appeared inside a disciplined system built to notice the unusual. That matters because routine systems sometimes reveal the extraordinary by accident. A training flight, a sensor lock, and a few seconds of video can become a record of something that never meant to be seen. In the strongest believer case, GoFast is less about a single frame and more about the total impression, trained personnel, a tracked object, and a visual speed that seems to break the expected rules. Taken together, it feels like a genuine anomaly. Skeptical readings answer with geometry, distance, and the limits of perception. From that angle, the object may have been slow, small, and ordinary, while the aircraft's motion created the dramatic impression of extreme speed. Even that explanation leaves a residue of uncertainty, because the clip is brief and incomplete. The public sees only a fragment, while the full sensor picture, if it exists in detail, remains outside the frame of the famous video. That missing context is why the case refuses to settle down. A short recording can ignite years of debate when it hints at something just beyond the reach of certainty. The GoFast video also sits inside a larger cultural shift, when military UAP footage moved from rumor to public conversation. Once that happened, every frame began to carry the weight of national security, science, and wonder at once. For many, the most unsettling possibility is not that the object was alien, but that it was something we still do not model well. The sky can hide small, fast, and deceptive things better than we like to admit. For others, the mystery is more human than cosmic. A brief clip, a difficult angle, and the mind filling in what the camera cannot fully settle. Both readings can coexist without closing the file. And yet the question remains, because the scene still feels larger than the explanation. If this was only a trick of perspective, why did it look so unlike anything the crew expected to see? That is the enduring power of GoFast, a small object, a short recording, and a long shadow of uncertainty. It invites caution, but it also leaves room for the possibility that the sky revealed something genuinely unfamiliar. Maybe the answer is hidden in the geometry, waiting for a fuller reconstruction. Or maybe the clip captured a moment when ordinary technology briefly met something we still do not know how to name. Either way, the GoFast case endures because it does what the best mysteries do. It narrows the world without fully explaining it. Long after the clip ends, the question keeps moving with it. In the end, the video does not hand us a final answer. It leaves us with a brief bright shape in a military sky, and the uneasy sense that something important may still be missing. The most careful conclusion is also the most honest one. GoFast may be a perspective puzzle, a small airborne object, or something stranger than the frame can prove. Until the full context is known, the mystery remains open. And that open ending is exactly why the case still draws attention years later. It is not just a clip to decode, but a reminder that some encounters arrive already wrapped in ambiguity. When the footage is watched carefully, the object seems to slip between categories. Too strange to dismiss instantly, too brief to crown as proof. That uneasy middle ground is where GoFast still lives. So the final image is simple: a crew, a sensor, a flash of motion, and a question that outlasts the clip itself. Whatever the explanation, the GoFast video remains one of the clearest reminders that the sky can still surprise us.